D23 is over, and we know Disney's plans for the next several years for the Disney parks. We talk about it next on episode 85 of Salute to the Ears.
Recording.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Salute to the Ears. I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Erica.
And we have a special guest. It's our friend Kharique King who we've mentioned before. And we figured, hey, it's what better time to bring you in to get another voice of all the stuff that's been going on with D23, especially the parks.
100%. I cannot thank you guys, by the way, for having me on. Honestly, every time I'm on here, it's an honor to be on because I love engaging with you guys and talking to you guys about, these different topics. And today is like one of the biggest times to do this. So I'm ready to just talk.
I'm super excited because usually it's just the two of you.
That is true.
So this is exactly nice to be able to have to jump into this.
Right.
100%. I'm excited.
Yeah, we'll jump right in because what came out last night is really going to shape the Disney parks in the future.
Yes.
I mean, this is the next decade of Disney, just announced last night.
Right. Especially at Disney World, and we'll get to Disney World, but I want to start in Disneyland. You've been to Disneyland way more than we have. What is your thoughts on what was announced at Disneyland and what wasn't announced?
So I'm starting off. To be completely honest, was super confused, but in the best way possible because I had no clue any of the what was announced was coming out. So we have Coco that's coming to DCA, Coco attraction, and then you have the Avatar, which we already knew about, but that one I'm really excited for. I think that might be my number one, and then Coco's number two. And then what else is coming? Actually, kind of forgot it.
It's an animatronic of Walt.
Oh, yes. Actually,
into the Opera Theater on Main Street.
That might be number one. That might be actually my number one.
They need to hand out packages of tissues as soon as you walk in because I think all of us Disney people, the second we see him standing there or, leaning there, I guess is kind of the look they had from the, from the example, but I'm going to cry. I cried. I teared up and was having to hold back from crying, seeing the partner statue in life size at the Disney 100 exhibit here in Kansas City. And just to see him essentially life size, right? Standing there. And
I'm super
I'm just thinking to watch the animatronic that's, is going to look like him.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be his recordings. It's going to be his voice. It's going to look like Walt is standing there. I'm going to be a mess.
Yeah. And that they're going to put the most effort, time, and energy into this one animatronic because they want to do right by Walt and his legacy.
That has to be perfect.
Exactly. And it's going to be so lifelike. So I 100% agree. There's going to be a lot of emotion that comes with it. And just the wow factor, the fact that he had this vision of audio animatronics and to turn him into one is just it's next level. And I think it's one of the most genius things, especially having it in Disneyland where he created that park is one of the smartest things I think Imagineers have done so far.
It has to be in Disneyland. And I'm interested to see if once that premieres, how much it re-sparks the rumors of, he's been cryogenically frozen and they've got his head saved somewhere, those rumors are gonna spark way up again.
And I completely forgot about that. That's definitely gonna especially outside of the Disney community, a bunch of people are gonna talk about that. So that's gonna be amazing.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to Coco and seeing how they do this with all the colors.
Mm-hmm.
They could completely blow us away. I don't know how we really didn't get a good idea of what the ride was gonna be with Coco.
Yeah.
Other than it's another water ride. right?
Was it?
Was that
Yeah, so
another
it's a
water
dark,
ride?
it's a dark ride, like a
I
dark.
feel like everything was either a roller coaster announcement or a water ride. Like that was it.
Yeah, and I don't even mind it because I love dark rides. Like personally for me, like a dark water ride, it's very family oriented, and but you know that it's gonna come with like the biggest state of the art like animatronics. So that's what I'm mostly excited to see is like the animatronics come to life. I don't mind like not having like thrill, but it's just more of like the spectacle and the scenery and just seeing the story kind of come to life. I love that aspect of it. So.
And I gotta imagine there's gonna be some good food there as
Oh,
well.
100%. 100%. They're going to go, and I don't know where they're going to put it, but I was thinking they're going to put it to, you know, where they usually do like towards the back of DCA, where they do like the Coco show during October and stuff like that. It probably won't fit, but I honestly, and that's another thing, I don't know where they're putting this stuff. I hope they're not like taking away to add in, but it's like, if you see the layout of like DCA, like where's all this going? Don't know, but I'm still excited about it.
Could this be the thing that possibly replaces? There's been a lot of talk of towards the front of DCA where the Monsters Inc. ride and stuff is, and that's kind of become really a dead area up in there.
Hollywood Land, yeah. I never thought about that. I'm honestly, in a sense, I see why they would reimagine it because it is a little. It's dead. Like you have Mickey PhilharMagic and you have Monsters Inc. ride, which they're great, but it doesn't do well in terms of like I guess it's like it's not a people eater. Like people don't really gravitate towards that area. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do end up reimagining
The
that
only
whole.
reason I wondered if they're going to do that is one of the announcements that we'll talk about in a few minutes, or World, and being able to like. I'm curious to see how all of these places, we've all been questioning, like, where is everything going? As we talk about each of these things, most of them have the question mark of like, where exactly is this going? There's a couple that we know for sure, but there's this question of like, where is it going? And I think I'm very curious to see of the ones that they made announcements for where it's like, oh, hey, but on the other coast, this is coming in.
Mhm.
Hey, in this other place, we're getting this. If they're going to be like, well, we can quietly get rid of this part because we're giving you a new version of it over here.
Right.
Like,
I know exactly
I'm
what you're talking about.
see how that plays out.
I know without even saying words. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I wonder that actually makes a lot of sense because I guess not saying that one isn't more beloved than the other, like that ride specifically isn't more beloved than the one that's coming, but maybe they just might do that because it's not specifically that one ride isn't specifically coveted to the land. Like that land has very much miscellaneous rides, and whereas the one over on the West Coast has a specific land for that specific ride. So they might just do that, and I don't think anybody in DCA would be upset about that, to be completely honest. So. Yeah, that's
where that's going to go, and especially with because what else was announced that in.
They also have to find room for Avatar. Like we mentioned Avatar, but when they talked about Avatar, it's not only the second Avatar, but the next one that's coming out, and they said possibility of more after that. So they have to have a good chunk of land for that.
Yeah,
and then
that's got to be part of the Disney Forward stuff, though.
That's what I was thinking. Unless they're finding a way to connect the new Disneyland Forward with DCA. But then again, I feel like that's just going to be its own Disneyland's own third gate. So if they're saying that Avatar's coming to DCA, I don't know. Like I don't know how the Imagineers are thinking. I don't know how the higher ups are trying to plan this. But if the two parks are connected, then maybe you're right. It is maybe for the third park. So we'll see.
So here's the rundown of things that are coming to Disneyland. We have the Coco ride, Coco section. We have not a land, but stuff coming for Coco. We have Avatar. We have the animatronic for Walt Disney, and then
we're missing one last big piece. And that's over with Avengers Campus.
Avengers Campus, yep. Man, I feel like I'm excited for everything. So I'm like, oh, what's my number one?
Everything.
That one. I am. And you want to know why I'm the most excited about it is because Avengers Campus desperately needed that one e-ticket ride. But we're not just getting one ride, we're getting two rides. So the fact that they're adding in two rides, honestly, just blows everything out the park because we were expecting one, now we're getting two. So that was another great, little surprise. But it definitely helps with the traffic around the park because Avengers Campus is just so small that these two rides are going to eat up the crowd. It's crowd control at this point. And also, it just adds to the storyline. But can we focus on, what is it called? Avengers Infinity Defense. That one.
Infinity Defense. Yep.
I'm looking forward to so much. I've been waiting for this for almost 5 years now. I think they said 5 years, and all we've had was concept art. I'm glad we have a name, but I would like to have a definitive. We're putting the shovel into the ground. We're starting at this day. They said next year, but I want a definitive date so I know and I'm like secure that it's actually coming. So,
right, yeah, they said construction starting in 2025. But that could be January, it could be December. And then a couple years at least to, I would imagine the way that they build.
Yeah.
Like they don't build
I
real
don't
quick.
think there's anything that was announced that we're seeing other, like the only thing that they announced was the opening date for Tiana's out in Disneyland in November. That was the other Disneyland news. It's not something new we're getting. We knew that was coming, but we at least have a date now. Everything else, I'm like, timeline wise, you are not talking about anything opening before 2026.
Yeah.
Like before the end of 2026. I don't think there's anything that has the possibility of opening out there before 2027.
I would say, there's a couple things. There's a couple things real quick.
I know what he's talking about because I was thinking of the one. So you can say it.
Yeah. I think there's a possibility we may get the animatronic of Walt.
Okay, that
before,
one
because of the 70th. I think they wanted before the 70th. Yeah.
And then this one's going in Disneyland and in Hollywood Studios, and that's a new scene on Smuggler's Run with the Mandalorian.
That's it.
Okay, but that's not like construction.
No,
that's not. That's software.
It's just, right. That's something new to look forward to.
Yeah,
but
it is something new to look forward to. It's going to be awesome. But it is like it's not a. Those aren't like, hey, we're having to break ground, build something like.
Yeah, that's something you can like turn off.
Tear things down to be able to build. Like, I don't think we're going to see anything of the new construction things that they're talking about. New rides, new builds, new things. Yeah. I don't think we're going to see anything open before early 2027.
Yeah, which it does, initially suck, but at the same time, it's something to look forward to, which I'm hopeful about that. But I was seeing some discourse online saying that Disney does have a reputation for kind of like saying, hey, we're giving you this, for sure. But then down the line, they could be like budget cuts. But I'm still being hopeful, like, because this was so big and Josh DeMario's word was so like poignant, like this is happening. Like
swears.
Exactly. He swears.
Moon and the stars in the sky. Swears. Okay. Like he promised this is coming.
Like we had a whole song about it. So
we got a whole song.
So I have a feeling that this is all actually gonna happen. It's just, you know what? If it's gonna take time, I'm fine with waiting.
And I think because he went out of his way, they've gone out of their way the whole weekend to talk about how this is not blue sky.
Yeah.
Like this is stuff that is happening. I think if they were willing to go blue sky, we would have heard way more for Disneyland and what's to come with Disneyland forward.
Yes.
I think that's why we didn't hear as much. And I think sometime over the next couple of years, we're going to hear more stuff. Whereas with Walt Disney World, we're not necessarily going to hear as much. Like we heard a lot for Walt Disney World.
Yes.
Last
Which
night.
I was
the big list is. I actually fell asleep at one point because I had to be up early this morning for work, and so I finally got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to sleep. Tell me what they get, and and I woke up to the last announcement. Was like, I didn't just dream that, right? Like that really happened.
That really happened.
And I fell asleep in it, but this is what I'm saying. There was so much information that I had an opportunity to fall asleep and still wake up to like more information.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
how much stuff we heard last night.
And
All
I
right,
feel
well,
like,
let's make our way out to the East Coast.
yeah,
And we're going to go to Walt Disney World because this is where we're going to be talking a lot about this. And we'll
You're
start in Epcot. There's not a lot there.
not a
One,
lot, and I
think they need
expected
to-
that. I expected
Right.
that. So
I did too. They need to
This is the
fix some of the
greatest.
problem. They need to fix some of the problems that they're having with like some of the lighting that's in the ground and some of the stuff that they've done. They
Yeah.
need to fix that stuff, right?
Mhm.
And then only two real announcements that I really remember. There's a new lounge going in for Spaceship Earth,
Mhm.
which is okay.
Which is, I mean, that's
get it.
yeah, that didn't really like spark an
Yeah.
interest in me because I don't.
I'm not a lounge guy, but okay,
Me neither.
like I get it. It's playing to the crowd that's there a lot.
Exactly, which is it's smart. It's smart. Like that's the grown-up adult park, so that's
Yeah.
fine.
And then Test Tech 3.0, they gave us a year, 2025.
Yeah.
Sounds like they're already moving on that thing. Like they've gutted it out. Like sounds like they're trying to move as quick as possible because that's
Yeah.
a big people eater in Epcot.
100%. 100%. And fun fact, I have never done that ride. So the old went out, and I'm like, well, I have nothing.
I have not done what was the just current version. I have only done
So,
the previous
Right.
version. Well, I guess I'd done the original,
Right.
and then it got updated, but then it got updated again.
Right.
mhm.
So
So you
I
didn't do
hadn't
the
done
third
the most
update.
recent changes, but like,
It wasn't my thing.
yeah,
Like I can drive fast around here. Like
I liked it when it very first opened. It was cool because it was different, especially in Epcot. It was something different, but
Mm.
yeah, it's long overdue. I'm glad that we're finally getting some info on it.
Okay. Yeah.
I think the only
kinda
thing I was shocked with Epcot that we didn't hear was maybe some of the stuff that they said was like suspended wasn't necessarily canceled, like updating Spaceship Earth or Mary Poppins
Yeah.
back in the UK. The thing that shocked me the most, I really thought we were going to get an update for Figment
Mm.
because, buddy, that's not it.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing with the whole thing. I never did the original because I mean, well,
Yeah.
I just started going to Disney World, so I have nothing to compare it to. But that ride that they have there is it's terrible.
Like,
Yeah.
I loved the original. I loved Figment and the Dream Maker. Like that was my jam when I was little. I loved that. I love Figment, but I hate that ride. I love Figment. I love the concept of Figment. I hate that ride. Like
Yeah.
it's so dumb.
Yeah.
And I hate saying that, but like there's nothing, like our kids are like read it and they're like, there's nothing for them to connect to in it. And none of the people or the characters or the jokes or the stuff, like it just doesn't make sense.
Out of all their dark rides that they got, it comes across as cheap.
Yes,
So-
very cheap, very just like it's very stuck in the 90s.
Mm.
And not set necessarily. Usually, sometimes that's not a bad thing. Like the nostalgia isn't a bad thing, but with that, it's done very like weirdly and just like you're right. Like she said, you don't connect with anything.
There is such a like cult following of people who like Figment. Like I like Figment. I have one like poster picture thing of Figment. That's it. Like I am not obsessed with Figment. I like Figment, but like get that straight. But there's such a cult following there. I wonder if after all of the chaos with getting rid of Splash Mountain and changing Splash Mountain and retheming it, if they are like just terrified to piss off the Epcot adults, like
I mean,
Epcoters are
because-
another breed.
the Epcotians.
Epcotians, whatever you want to call them. Like,
I think like you're absolutely right because if you take that ride out, there's really no staple for Figment unless you just have the meet and greet. But it's kind of like now it's just the ghost of a ride. Like he's just like technically like the ghost of a ride, and there's nothing to connect it to. So if you take that out, it's just a big uproar. But then again, people barely ride it. It's a 5-minute wait almost every day.
Yeah, you can walk on it whenever you want. Yep.
It's set outside of like the normal path people are walking to get to stuff. You have to like veer out to it. I thought we were going to hear something about that area, that side of Epcot. I thought we were going to see more happen over on that side. That seemed like that was one of the things that kind of got paused with all the shift in COVID. But
they got enough problems to fix over there without having to try and do another ride.
Exactly.
But let's go to a park that we all like, and that's Animal Kingdom.
Yes.
And it's finally getting some stuff.
This was so needed.
How many years have we waited?
God. Finally. When I tell you finally, because I'm so tired of Animal Kingdom getting the backseat on like everybody's list or people saying it is a half-day park. This was such a win for Animal Kingdom, and unfortunately, yes, we're getting rid of Dino Land, but the fact that we're getting the tropicals of the South,
Tropics of America, yeah,
Tropicals of America, yeah, there we go. But it's such a smart idea. Now we're getting Encanto, and we're getting Indiana Jones ride, brand new story, which I think is actually really cool. It's not based off of anything that has been seen before, so brand new story. That's great for Imagineers to kind of just like spark, different things, get things going. Encanto obviously is following the story. I'm more excited for, I don't know with this one. I don't know if I'm leaning more towards Encanto because it's recent, it's fresh. I love the story. I've seen it like 4 times in the movie theaters and obviously a bunch here. Or Indiana Jones because it does have that thrill that is honestly needed in Animal Kingdom. We had Dinosaur, but now that's going to be redeemed to that. So I'm wondering if it's going to be the same track system. I have so many thoughts about this. I can go on and on. But what are your thoughts?
It's going to be the same track system. There's no reason to change the track system. I mean, I really think that makes the most sense. I think that's part of the reason why they're going the Indiana Jones route with it versus doing just totally different things over there. Is that they can shift to that. And what it will allow them to do is, we've seen this in other rides where it's been updated or changed, and they leave those like Easter eggs of like the previous ride or something that was in that land before, or in that area before, like, and they leave those Easter eggs. It will allow them to leave some of those dinosaur Easter eggs embedded within that ride. And so one thing I did hear today on Threads about the changes coming to this land is that a lot of parents of littles really like the kids play area, the kids dino play area, and they've got the opportunity, the boneyard, and getting to really let them like just run
off,
right, and get out and play. And wondering what's going to happen with that. Will it get rethemed to go Indiana Jones and be like an archaeological, just like go the archaeological route with Indiana Jones? Because you absolutely could do that and just retheme it a little bit. Or will it just be completely gone and there be like, they're hoping that they don't lose having that structure.
Right.
Yes.
They'd like to be able to keep that structure, keep that play place available, to parents of little. So that was one that was I hadn't really thought about that. Our kids haven't used that area in so long that it didn't dawn on me of like, oh yeah, that thing exists. And that was really cool when they were little.
One of the things I saw today by looking at some of the models and pictures, because people going through D23, they're getting the 3D model and they're looking at stuff. The ride for Encanto, like that ride building is humongous.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, but of all of the parks, Animal Kingdom has the most land to spread out into.
It does.
Yes.
It does.
That's why I'm saying if they wanted to go big with something, this is the best time to do it because, like you said, they do have the most land to utilize, and thank God they're actually finally utilizing it. Because if nothing was announced for this, it would be just like it'd be a huge waste. So I'm really glad that they're finally doing something. I do think they should have put in a third, maybe like a third, I guess, ride over there because, like you said, there's so much.
They're leaving space. I think they're leaving space for that. Is what's happening.
They do have the carousel coming for anybody who likes that.
Yeah,
and like everything's supposed to be like hand carved wood animals on there.
Yeah,
And they
I
showed
saw
one of
that.
the
That was really
pictures
cool.
today.
Yeah.
They showed a picture of Kevin today, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, that was cool. That was actually really cool.
I'm excited. I do like carousels, and I especially like when they have the really unique, you know, different characters or different animals for you to ride. Like I always think that that's really fun, and getting to be like, oh, I got this one. I got, I got to do this one. Like it's a fun thing. And so I am excited about that. But I think this is one area where they are. I think the way that it is set up, the way that it's going to be laid out, they are leaving space for that to potentially have something added.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Now the park where we're going to maybe butt heads a little bit, where something new is going, is going to be Hollywood Studios.
Why are we butting heads? What do you mean?
I think he's talking.
No.
You guys are gonna fight.
He knows what I was talking.
I know you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I'm just gonna sit back and watch this happen.
So over in Hollywood Studios, which I was not expecting a full land of this, I thought maybe one part of it. I think I said something about it on our last podcast, on our last episode. But we're getting
about a lot.
Yeah, we did. We're getting a Monsters Inc. land.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's Monstropolis, like
it's
the whole, like
that's okay. That's gonna be big. Everything that I feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over because they went big. This is like the D23 where I'm just like, I was not expecting this, so my mind is kind of blown. So this was another one that was like more of like a secret, like not a peep has been heard about this. Not a rumor has been going on about this. So I'm just kind of like, where did this come from? I love it because Monsters Inc. is like my third favorite Pixar movie. So that's a win for me. So
yeah.
I think I know what you're talking about when you say we're going to butt heads a little bit. Now, everybody, when it comes to Disney's Hollywood Studios, same with kind of like Disney's California Adventure, there's not a lot of space. There's not a lot of room. Technically, there is a little bit more room in Hollywood Studios than DCA, but I personally think because this is just like Hollywood Land over in DCA, this area is a dead zone. I personally think they're going to retheme that Muppets, the Muppets area. I think they're going to retheme the Muppets area to Monstropolis.
Touch my Muppets.
See,
don't you touch my Muppets.
And I'm thinking.
I'm sorry. I feel like you want to know why? Is because
you know what's really sad though. Like we had this conversation of like where I was like, it would make sense. I can see the kind of the streets of it, the way, well, because that used to lead into Streets of America, and so that's why you had this, the way the structures are in the buildings, and you had this, you have like the cityscape, like you're walking into the city, and I get that, and I can see that rolling right into Monstropolis. Like I get that. That makes sense to my brain. However, you brought up a really good point last night or this morning when we were talking about it, about how things are laid out and how things have changed there since Galaxy's Edge has come in.
So they like to try to keep the sight lines for Galaxy's Edge so it doesn't take you off the planet, right? So that's why they took down the hot air balloon that was sitting on top of Muppet Vision 3D. If you put a tall, their laugh floor or whatever there, it's going to mess up that sight line.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying it's going to go over an animation courtyard and get rid of Launch Bay and the Disney Junior, and then there's land to push back towards Rock and Roller Coaster as well.
I can also see that.
That's kind of a dead area too.
Yeah.
Both of those areas need to be redone. Like, let's be real. Neither one of those areas needs to remain exactly how they are.
Yeah.
So that's both of those things are true. Like, I mean, that's not going to change, either way. Whichever area gets done with this, the other area still needs some sort of revitalization. So
yeah.
I'm curious though, because you will have a lot of things that you're going to need to rethink then too, of like, if you go Animation Courtyard, over there is not only Launch Bay with, the Star Wars characters, that I'm like, you can figure that out. That is figure outable, that you've got lots of different places where that can be moved to, redone. The Disney Junior show, that is a must have. Something for the little kids in Hollywood studios is a must, because they're, other than Frozen, tell me what other like things that are in Hollywood studios that they're like, I want to go to that.
Mickey and Minnie's? Well, yeah,
Mickey and Minnie's you can, but not all of them. That's still got a height requirement.
Does it?
I guess.
I know, because Sam and Hattie went with us last time on it.
Did they?
Yeah.
I thought it had a height requirement.
No, I'm not sure it does. If it does, it's not real tall. But yeah, no, there's not a lot of stuff there for littles.
Other than maybe like Toy Story, but then you can't really do much unless like you do alien saucers.
Yeah.
That's kind of about it, really.
I don't.
Alien swirling saucers?
No, don't. Does it?
That's a fact check.
All right. Well, I guess here's the big question. So the big ride for Monsters is a suspended roller coaster.
Yes.
Are you going to do that?
Yes.
Oh, 100%. As much as I don't like roller coasters, I'm going to brave it because I saw, okay, so that's another thing. I saw the layout. I saw the the roller coaster layout, and I'm like, you know what? I can do this. As long as there's no like crazy big drop happening, I'm all in, because I can do Guardians of the Galaxy. And I've seen, like I said, I saw the track layout, or these, supposed track layout, and it looks doable. I think it's just more of a high speed, fast, and that's fine by me. So I'm definitely super excited about that.
Go ahead, prove yourself right.
Fact check. You guys were right. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway does not have a height requirement. However, Alien Swirling Saucers does, and it's 32 inches.
That's so weird. That's actually kind of surprising. I guess why?
Because of the G forces that it swings when it swings and it shoves you into the like side and stuff. You wouldn't necessarily be able to hold on to a small child with that if they were.
Makes sense, because it's kind of like an open gap, kind of. So, God forbid anything happens. You're right.
But you guys are correct on Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. So
50-50.
50-50.
I'm doing better than normal.
Yeah, I'll take it. No, but I'm excited.
I'm so excited. Like once they showed it. Oh, and one of the things I saw on the artist rendering of one of the things that's there is a playground.
In Monstropolis?
In Monstropolis, there's a picture of a slide coming down.
Nice.
So I think there's going to be a playground over there for kids.
And that would make a lot of sense.
I'll have them add in all those new playgrounds in Epcot when they, redesigned all of that. I see more of that coming in to each of the parks, more access and availability to stuff like that.
Maybe. Yeah.
Which blows my mind, because I didn't think that was popular. Because in my head, it's like, well, we have that you can do that back at home. Like, this is just a regular playground. But I guess I didn't understand, like, these kids technically are standing on line. They're waiting for a long time, or they're sitting in their strollers. They need a place to kind of release that energy, because if you can't technically run around theme park, you can't run around queues and stuff like that. So that makes a lot of sense, where it drains you. Let them run around, like the one in I think the smartest one is the one in Magic Kingdom, around where Dumbo is, inside Dumbo's tent. I didn't know that was like a whole playground, and I'm like, that is so smart. When I have my kids, they're going right in there, because it's shade for me, tires them out. Yep. Then I can do what I want and give them to my nanny. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna have anything. But those are smart little details around the parks. Don't want to talk too much into that, but I just want to say that.
Yeah. Well, let's head over to the park where there's a lot to talk about, and that's over in Magic Kingdom. Okay. Let's start with not a ride, but a parade in Disney Starlight. And a nighttime parade finally coming to the Magic Kingdom.
Finally. I've never seen the electrical parade, so I'm so excited about this one. So excited about this.
That thing was awesome. but it was also like straight up nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
Like there were parts of it like these little like almost like faceless guys that were just terrifying. Like I remember from when I was a kid, and I'm like, those things are creepy.
Yeah.
I liked all the big float pieces of it.
Yeah.
Great. Like those are great, but it's the small, it's like the people walking around with it and the extra stuff was a little creepy. The last time we saw it, you really didn't get to see it that last time we went, and Avery and Leo were little, because I sat with you guys did Splash Mountain again.
Mm-hmm. And
so we got a spot to watch it right outside the bridge of Splash Mountain.
Oh wow!
And
so you can see it coming down.
So I'm literally sitting on the ground with my 1-year-old nephew, and just him just watching, just like, this is like the coolest thing ever, because I mean, one, it was a lot of Main Street Electrical Parade was down towards your left, towards like the street level, right? Mm-hmm. It was lower. I mean, that was epic. Like that was such a cool experience for him to see and to have that memory of getting to do that while everybody else was off and riding rides. I have a question about this parade though. How does this, like they talked about it's premiering next summer.
Yes. Yep.
It's premiering next summer. Longest days, right, of the year. How does this add up? Like what happens with this and then Happily Ever After?
Right.
Like how does that meet up? Is it an every other night kind of thing? Is it this happens at 9 p.m. and Happily Ever After happens at 10? Like how is that going to play into? Is this going to be like it only happens a couple times a week kind of thing? Like I'm very curious to see how that's going to play out.
Yeah, I didn't think about like the times, stuff like that, because you're just so excited about having a nighttime parade that you don't think about both, unless.
This is what I think about. When are people going to bed?
Yeah, I get it. You're not wrong. Unless now I'm thinking they have, how like in the Halloween parties they'll do the parade and then they'll do the fireworks at 10 p.m. So that low key kind of makes sense, especially because I guess it does start. It depends on how long the parade is. It depends. Well, the fireworks about 17 minutes. So if the park closes at 11, I feel like, I don't know, because in the summertime it takes a little longer to get dark. So
you really can't do, because they usually don't do even Happily Ever After before 9:30 in the summer,
unless they're planning on going to like longer hours. I mean, the parks pre-COVID stayed open longer. Like it was nothing for Magic Kingdom to stay open till 11 or midnight. So maybe they're going to go to that. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Next, because we got so much to get through.
We do.
The other thing that's not a ride or a parade is another lounge. It's a Pirates Lounge, which we've kind of known about. I don't know where exactly it's going, because what was Tortuga's Tavern is now a shop for Pirates merchandise. So I'm not sure where it's going, but again, it's supposed to be open in 25. So
I'll keep mine short with this one. I'm starting to really get into pirates. I've had this weird pirate thing going on lately, so I'm excited for this one. It's a cool concept, and I think it's definitely like needed for adults, because they just started serving alcohol within Magic Kingdom and stuff like that. So I think it's really cool for adults to kind of just hang out. And I think and obviously they're gonna sell stuff for kids too, but mainly adults. Like Olga's Cantina, That's how I feel like that's what their vibe they're trying to go for. More for adults, but it's still family oriented and stuff like that. If they want to bring their kids in, I think that's cool. It's a good idea.
They're not going to have any area or lounge or anything like that that's going to be a 21 and over only, because it's just too hard to. That's too hard to manage.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's not going to happen. I'm excited about. I'm hopeful to see where this does land over there. If it ends up like, are they taking over Tortugas in some way? Is it taking over the shop area? Like, where is it going to land?
Yeah, where is
Because
it
that
going?
area is a pretty big pass through for a lot of people. And so it doesn't tend to get too clogged up right there. So I'm curious how that's going to help maybe pull some people from some other areas to like hang out over there versus just
Yeah.
pass through.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you throw alcohol into a family park where people are already aggravated. Yeah, that's gonna.
Hot
I
and
feel like
tired and pissed off. Yeah.
I'm gonna go for a beer, rum, whatever. I think it's a smart move. I think it's a smart move. So we'll
Yeah.
see. Plus that I like that they're adding something with Pirates because they just have the ride and a couple of shops, and Pirates is a very they're very popular, like
It's
attraction.
iconic now at
So
this point. Yeah. It's
to throw that in there, smart idea. Smart idea.
It
Rum
is
Pirates, you
smart
can't go
idea.
wrong.
Yeah. Okay, now this one I know we did kind of talk about last time, and this is the stuff that's going in Frontierland or behind Big Thunder.
Yeah.
And it's cars.
Yeah, this was left field. Was not expecting this, especially because I was not expecting cars. I was not expecting cars at all because the concept art that we got from the Blue Sky ideas back in like whenever.
oh yeah.
I was expecting Coco or Moana ride, and honestly, I'm very surprised that we didn't get a Moana ride at all. I was waiting for at least one of these parks to say, "Hey, we're gonna get a boat Moana ride." It just would have made more sense, even though I know they opened that attraction up in Epcot. That was more like a walkthrough about water, not really tethered to. I mean, it is Moana, but it's not Moana specified. So I thought we were gonna get some crazy boat ride with a Moana animatronic that is telling her story. So that really surprised me. So we got cars, and I'm just like, wow, okay.
Now Moana did get her own little thing. She is getting her own show on one of the cruise ships.
On one of the cruise ships, yeah. That was announced before.
I mean, like I love theater stuff. I am super excited about how they're going to do the puppetry and stuff on that. So Moana did get something. She just didn't get something in the parks.
And I think maybe she still will, but I think maybe it's in Blue Sky Face.
Mm.
And
do you think that's gonna go on Disneyland or because Disneyland doesn't have a Moana ride yet, or anything Moana really?
Right, it could very well go being part of the Disneyland Forward. I'd heard people speculating that Disney World Magic Kingdom wants to expand Adventureland and pushing it there.
That would be perfect in Adventureland,
right.
To be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But I was saying Cars over there because if you look, I understand it's going to be a completely different storyline, but with it being off-road, you're still going to have the same kind of mountain British setting as what you have with it at DCA, right?
DCA,
and that's going to work perfectly with Big Thunder Mountain.
100%. And that's why when I saw some discourse on Twitter, people saying like, "Oh, I don't understand how this fits." I'm like, "Well, did you look at the concept art? Like you said, it's off road, so everything is dirt. It's like the middle of America where it's just like dirt and sand and all this other stuff. So if they keep that concept, that fits in perfectly. Or I saw like it was like a truck or like some type of monster truck or what? Not a truck, monster truck, but it had
like
those
Dune
elements.
Buggy.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just an off-road vehicle. Yeah.
So if you throw that in there, yeah, Cars fits perfectly in there. And if it's anything like the one in DCA, and I mean layout wise, I'm gonna fall in love with it because I love, and I'm not a huge Cars fan, which is crazy to me. Like I'm like, Cars is cool.
We forgive you. It's okay.
Yeah, Cars is cool, but the fact that I'm like, I love Cars Land in DCA. I love that ride. That is one of my favorite, like top tier #1 rides.
I'm sorry, Shaboom is magic. So like that's my only request is I'm like, you got to find some way to match the energy of having Shaboom in Cars Land when you're bringing in a Cars themed area here. You got to have.
Agreed.
I'm not saying they need to have Shaboom, but I'm saying like they got to match that kind of energy.
Right.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah. I'm glad with a lot of these announcements, they went out of their way to make things different. Like saying, hey, this is not going to be like Cars Land in DCA. This is its own thing. So I don't know if we're going to get like that main drag.
No, I don't think we are, but that's what I'm saying. I want to match the energy, not so much the look and the like of that, just that energy of like the magic of that.
Let me ask you this, because I'm not gonna lie, I was a little confused. So I know that there's a Cars ride coming, but did I hear right that we're getting 2 Cars rides? One for, thrill, and one for kids, like specifically for little kids.
Right.
I think it'll be something along the lines of you've got like the Luigi's ride or the Mater, which is essentially alien swirling saucers, like that. I think you're going to see something in that kind of category of rides, like
because you don't really have anything like those in Magic Kingdom. It's not going to be another Dumbo flying carpet type ride. So, but yeah, you did hear right. There is 2, and I'm glad there's 2, because like I know, like, because there's a height limit for Radiator Springs Racers, and like when the littles, like they see lightning, like they want to go ride with lightning and then they can't. Like that's heartbreaking. You got to have something close by for them to do.
Yeah, which was smart on there, and because it's not like, because I feel like with Disney is you unfortunately they're tending more towards adults when it comes to like thrill stuff. You have these adults in mind. Yes, you have kids, of course, but eventually, who's the one spending the money? This new age is more of Disney adults, childless millennials without kids that go to these parks, and so you're trying to find a way to appease almost everybody. So that's why I love that.
You're starting to get into with like the franchises like Cars. You're starting to get into the generation of like Cars is Jackson's generation, right? Mm-hmm. Like it came out the same year Jackson was born, and you're getting into where they are going to here in the next few years. You've got this generation of.
I watched this on repeat when I was a kid.
Yeah. And that was the thing that they loved. And so you're starting to see a lot of this IP that's coming in with that, where they're going to want to bring their kids.
Yes. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
And so you have to look, as they're looking forward to, okay, what are we doing in 5 years and 10 years and 15 years? You're looking towards like, okay, well, how old are the people who loved this IP, the people who loved this stuff? When are they going to be having kids? When are they going to be coming back?
Yeah.
Because there's like this cycle that they have found that happens, and it's happened over and over again, and they've played into it and learned it. And I think that's what we're seeing happen here.
Well, the good news is, like with this, like supposedly some dirt's already being moved. What they put out was dirt's really going to be moved in 25. But supposedly stuff's already moving. Like I know, like people have been talking about patents have already been put out, and permits and that kind of stuff. It'll be interesting to see where it goes. If it's actually behind Big Thunder, or if Rivers of America is just getting toasted. I
think it's going behind. I personally think it's going behind.
I think you're right, but people were pointing out today, they're like, if you look at the imaging, like the artist renderings, like the way it's lined up, like it basically takes out Rivers of America. So it'll be interesting to see. Like I'm excited to get more details on a lot of this stuff, which I'm sure we will over the next few weeks or months or whatever, but I'm excited to see what exactly is going to happen.
100%.
So this was one area that when we talked about our D23 previews, when we were talking about like, hey, what do we think is going to be coming on our last episode? We argued like hardcore about like what is coming in this section of like, you wanted to see something happen between Frontierland and Haunted Mansion, which would include essentially getting rid of Rivers of America.
Partly,
like, at least like that.
I just wanted to cut off like the back part. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do if they just, because I've heard that waterway, like it's kind of essential for how some of the water is flowing throughout the park. Mm-hmm. So they can't necessarily get rid of it totally. Whether or not that's true or not, I don't know.
might just be able
Yeah.
to reroute. I don't know.
Right.
They've been able to have it dried out to be able to fix
Yeah.
we saw it all dried out
That
when we were
little-
there not last year,
Yeah.
the year before.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So the big one, the one you woke up for, and the one I think everybody was hoping for, and that's Villains Land.
Yeah, that
You're speechless?
mind blown. And I was expecting this, wasn't expecting because there's so many rumors online. I don't like to listen to rumors. I don't like to listen to anything that anybody online has to say because I don't trust that. But the fact that this actually came true is like, I'm speechless. Like I don't even know what to say because I'm envisioning this and I'm like, how are they gonna make this work? I just complained on Twitter about the Halloween party, and I'm like, wow, now like there were so many things that were going through my head, like how are they gonna incorporate this into the new Halloween party? Like
When this thing opens, like Boo to You is gonna stay. Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, I think, is gonna stay relatively the same until this opens.
yeah,
When this opens, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party changes drastically. And not to say that it won't still be kid friendly. I 100% believe that it will still be very kid friendly. It's not going to become like a Halloween Horror Nights type scenario here. But I think the way that they play into this is going to change
Oh, I agree.
drastically once it opens for Mickey's
Like,
Not So Scary.
Can you imagine the headless horseman riding through Villains Land?
Oh my gosh, I'm literally, and I'm just going based off. I'm going based off of the concept art, and I'm just like that dark, eerie. Like I'm just thinking like there's about to be a thunderstorm in Florida, and you just see like the eeriness of like this land, and you have these villains just walking around, and I'm just like, what? And the thing is, Disney's so family friendly, and I'm just like, how is this even possible? But I know exactly what they were doing, and I think is honestly one of the smartest things that they've done in a while, even though they're competing with Epic Universe. Epic Universe just got their Dark Universe. And the concept art kind of plays into Dark Universe's like concept, that it's just the Disney version. But I just know Disney is gonna knock it out of the park when it comes to. They said there's gonna be 2 rides, so I'm expecting like a family friendly ride. And then I'm expecting a thrill ride, big thrill ride. Yeah, so I'm
that's
really
pretty much
excited.
been the MO. I mean, in all of the different lands, that's kind of the MO. That's the minimum, right? The minimum is there's something that everybody can enjoy, or most of the family can enjoy, and then there's something that you gotta be 40 inches taller.
Yeah,
I was zooming in on the concept art, and because they don't tend to put stuff in the concept art by accident, right?
yeah.
And I'm looking at it looks like roller coaster tracks.
The tracks in back of like the Maleficent thorns.
Right. With Maleficent, it looks like it has thorns and stuff on it. And I'm like,
Yes.
oh, that could be spectacular.
That's gonna be really. You know what? Another thing I saw. So you know like how in Universal they have that big dragon on the thing and it shoots fire, and I saw in the concept art that there's the big Maleficent dragon shooting fire. And I'm like, if they have their version of like a dragon that is sitting on a cliff or something and it shoots green fire every couple of minutes. Oh my, like there's so much potential in this land alone. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait.
I mean, we talked about on our last episode, we were talking about this, like you were absolutely convinced that they were going to announce a 5th gate and it was going to be Heroes.
No. I said that was my big hope and my big wish was that they were pouring so much into the Disney Destiny that we were going to have a heroes versus villains 5th gate.
I said it's not going to be a 5th gate. It's going to be a land, and it's going to be a Magic Kingdom.
And I said you're probably right because that's safer. But that was my big wish. That was my big wish.
Wish it come true, but
yeah, like it's one of those things. I am very curious. There were a lot of people who were expecting a 5th gate.
Yeah.
We're either expecting the announcement of a 3rd gate in Disneyland or a 5th gate in Walt Disney World. And we got 4 new cruise ships. That was like they
have their own navy at this point.
Literally 4. I was like, okay, well, we'll get into that a little later.
Looking at the renderings of that again, I mean, we can get into it here in a little bit, but the cruise ships look different. They almost look like river cruise ships. where they're not as high of a profile and the windows along the side are much bigger. So I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but that's what it
I mean, no,
like.
I'm definitely gonna look at that again. I don't think I looked too much into that one because I was just kind of like, oh, 4 cruise ships, cool. I don't know anything about them. They didn't say much about it, so I'm not gonna get my hopes up just yet because it is cool that we're getting them, but we still have 2 more cruise ships that have to debut. So I'm not gonna get too excited about the other 4 that are coming because
Yeah.
But that was all we got as far as like, hey, this is like the adding on, like similar to what we're talking about as like a third gate in California or a fifth gate in Florida. But it's I was shocked that we didn't get an announcement of something else like that it's just pieces adding on here and there.
But
it's still the biggest expansion.
Yeah.
Yes.
In their history.
It's huge. It is huge. I honestly thought that we were starting to head towards it's the question now, and it made me think of this after they've announced this versus what we talked about with the fifth gate. I'm curious, where do you go from this in 10 years? Right? When all of this stuff is done in the next 10 years, all of this stuff is open and running and done. Where do you go at that point now that you have expanded all of these out to that point? What is happening there? Or are we just not able to look quite that far down the road yet?
Yeah, I feel like Disney has plans like that. I want to say they do have plans like that, but then they don't because a lot of, not even a lot. Most of these rides, like Encanto and stuff, they're based off newer movies, so they don't know or have ideas of like what to do, or maybe they do. Who am I to say? I'm not in those office.
I know that it takes more than a couple of years of production for each of these. So
exactly.
I will say this: they're famous for recycling ideas.
Mm-hmm.
The roller coaster for Monsters originally came out in like 2005 or 6, something like that, right?
Yes.
And we're back to it, which I'm glad they came back to it, right? And then Villain's Land has been thought of so many different times. And the thing that I love about Villain's Land is you can add so many different things to it and change it out with different villains along the way.
Yeah.
It's so broad. That's so broad.
That is
whether you're talking Maleficent and the Evil Queen, or Dr. Facilier and Scar, or like whoever you're going with, Ursula. Like maybe you have a big mountain that's a dark ride you're going and it has all these villains in it you're trying to escape or something. I don't know.
That would be really cool. Yeah. You know what I want to speak back into? I want to go back into what you guys were talking about, like fifth gate and third gate. Mm-hmm. The reason why I feel like Disney's not doing that is because, or why I had a feeling they weren't going to announce that. Honestly, it wasn't even a thought into my head that they were going to announce the fifth gate, only because most of their energy is going into Disneyland Forward. And I feel like they have so much like you said, we talk about room in Florida. There's so much room to expand these 4 parks that we already have that that's why they're not so like in competition with Epic Universe, because it's like we don't need to be in competition with them. Epic Universe is catching up to us because we already have 4 parks and they right now only have 2. So that third park is nothing to them. It's cool, but they're not sweating it. So most of their time and energy, and they didn't speak about this at all, is Disneyland Forward. And honestly, I was expecting them to say something about it, but then again, Disneyland Forward just got passed like a couple months ago, so they're literally probably just
still a lot of that would have been blue sky right now. I think there's just so much of that would have been. We're not quite sure how this, like, it's going to be something. It's going to be this or this.
Right.
Yeah. And I just don't think they were ready to do that with as many other promises as they were making.
And that's fine by me because blue sky, it gets people too excited about a certain thing and they'll harp on it for so long and then it won't come true. And now they're disappointed and all this negativity just stems. And I'm like, don't do blue sky until you think that you have something concrete or you might have something concrete. But I'm over that blue sky stuff. Give me I want to hear what's happening.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I'm out of all these things, definitely Villains Land. I'm probably excited about the most.
100%.
But there's so many things like they needed to crush this, and they did.
They did.
Even like
100%.
with all the movies, yes, it's a lot of sequels or thirds or fourths or fifths,
Yeah.
like, but I mean, I know all these are already in production, but a lot of the originals that they've put out lately just haven't done well.
Yeah,
And
unfortunately.
yeah, because I go back and watch them. Like I watch Onward or Luca. Like I'm like, these are like good movies. I don't know if COVID killed them just because they didn't get to go to the theaters, and that's what really did it. But
Yeah.
I do think COVID was a big part of that. That
100%.
really changed. It really changed how we viewed that. And so it was like if you didn't have Disney Plus, that really wasn't something that got, pushed at you. Like my nieces and nephews love Luca. They're not big on Onward, but my niece loves Luca.
Yeah.
Like, and she's 4. I mean, she's a COVID baby. And so, that's
yeah,
That's just how
I
they
think
literally
we're
grew
seeing,
up.
I think it's just almost going to be like delayed. I think when we're seeing those do better, just because you just didn't have the
Right.
opportunity to showcase it the way that
Yeah.
you would have if we hadn't had COVID.
yeah,
And at the same time, stuff like that always turns into cult followings. Sometimes things don't do well until years later. Like that's why I call that the at this point I'm calling it the Encanto effect, because if you really look at it, Encanto debuted in 2021, did terribly for a Disney standard. I think it only did like what 300 million, which is not good, and it blew up on Disney Plus, and now it's one of the most successful in terms of popularity, not in terms of numbers. So when you have stuff like that, it just takes time for it to grow and to build. So that's why I don't like to sleep on the new releases just yet, because they might turn into something big. Because I don't think they expected Encanto to do that well. Like that was probably going to take a back seat if it didn't blow up on Disney Plus. So this is just the new era, the new generation that movies are unfortunately having to withstand, and But now I feel like they're coming back with the whole Marvel, all that, Devil Wolverine, all that other stuff. So
yeah. Okay, one last question for you.
Mhm.
How quickly are you going to book a spot on the Disney Destiny now that you found out Hercules is going to be the show on there?
So I was already sold from the rooms. So
Yeah,
it
I know
said,
you were.
so I said, "Oh, Hercules themed room." I'm glad that I got anything, but it says September 12th is the opening spot. I'm booking. I'm booking. I'm putting my down payment. I don't care how much I have to pay. Little down payment. I'll pay $5 a day if I have to. I'm booking this cruise. Booking it. I'm so excited that
No, that's
anything
the
Hercules is related. I'm sorry.
right, and you got like you got Merida, you got all kinds of different ones on there. This is the first cruise, like the theme of the cruise, where I'm like, oh yeah, I could go on that.
Exactly. And I told because I was talking to my mother about this, because she's asking, she's like, oh, what makes this different than like the other cruises? And I'm like, you know what? I feel like this theme is more geared towards. I don't like that whole like boy is geared towards boys, geared towards girls. But when you have like Marvel action heroes versus villains, everybody likes that stuff. But boys are gonna resonate more with that. So when you have like Wish and Treasure and all those other that are kind of like very dainty, very nice little like
Get more into the fairies and the
yes,
princesses and the.
this one is more action packed, and so that's right up my alley. I love action movies. I love Marvel. I love that they're even using, like you said, Meredith is getting her own cafe. Like she's a action heroine. So I like that they're even playing into the females too. So this is the cruise for me. This is my cruise. I'm already dubbing this my cruise. I cannot wait to do this, and I'm hopefully you guys can come with me. I told you, I was like, listen.
When does it sail? Does it sail in 26?
No, November 2025, it said.
November 25.
Yep.
Okay, so a year from November.
A year
What
from
was
November.
it that Brooklyn was saying? Brooklyn made a comment about
There was something that opened up in 27, and she's like, "Oh, that could be a graduation trip."
but I thought it was something. I was thinking that it was something that was related to maybe.
It wasn't the cruise.
No, maybe it was trying to get him to ride the Monstropolis roller coaster.
No, I think when she started talking about that, she saw a cruise and she thought it had something to do with Alani as well, which she desperately wants to do too. And
I'm dying to do that. So that's so expensive. Gosh, it's so expensive. That's like I know I'm already like complaining about this cruise, but I'm like, if I ever want to do Alani, I'm booking that 2 years out and then I'm paying that off because that's just gonna be a lot, bro.
Right. Wow.
Oh, man. I know. Hit everything. So many good things. So much that we are all so excited about. I cannot wait to see how this all moves forward. I mean, it does mean we're going to have a couple of years of having construction gates up in different areas of the parks, but I think for the most part, we're not going to have the like it being like right in your face and blocking off walkways the way we've seen. It's more like, hey, just this whole section is blocked off, so you're not. I don't know. It just feels like everything's a little more removed, a little more like outside.
It's kind of out of the way a little bit.
Especially being Disney World's behind Thunder Mountain. That's all the way in the back of the park as it is. So it's not really affecting, the traffic is not really affecting much of anything that goes on. So that's one of the best parts about it, is that they're being smart about where they're putting certain things now. So they know that it's not affecting traffic flow or ride cancel, ride breakdowns.
No, it's going to be good. I'm excited to see what's going to happen over the next couple of years. I'm hopeful for more dates, here in the next 6 months or so, or by the time we hit D23 again, like that we get more dates, more like concrete,
more specific, rather than just the year or the fall of 26, something more specific. I understand why they didn't, because they got a lot of stuff going on.
I was thinking about that too. Like, when you sit down and think about it, this is a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort. The amount of animatronics that they have to make, and this is huge. So I'm expecting this to not be a tomorrow thing. I'm expecting this to not be a 2-year thing or a 3. I'm expecting a bit of time.
This is the next. I mean, it's not going to take this long. God willing, this is not going to take this long to get all of this done. But this is the next decade of Disney.
Yes.
That's what we're looking at. Is what we're really going to be seeing is the like new stuff throughout the next decade.
Yeah, it really is. This is the new direction.
And I'm excited about it. Like, I don't think there's not one thing I was kind of like, I don't care. No, I am like, whoa, this is so cool. Wow, I can't wait to do this. Like, I need to be there opening day.
So
which
there's still a lot of this. I feel like I'm like, pinch me. We just dreamed this. This did not just happen. Like, literally. It's gonna be so good.
Yeah.
Well, it was amazing getting to break this down with you. I'm super excited that we got to do this tonight. I think we're gonna have to jump.
Yeah. And I'll just go ahead and say, everybody, please go out and follow our buddy here at KingDeCall_92 on Instagram. And same thing on X.
Same thing on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Same thing,
Yeah. But really go out and follow him on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. Thanks again, buddy, for coming on here. Always love having you on here. I do. You can follow us at Salute to the Ears on X, Instagram, and Threads, and now YouTube as well.
And YouTube. Yep.
Any of us up with any kind of questions or things you're excited about, all of us would love to talk to you. With that, we're going to say, go out and find your joy.
And have a magical week.